So how can we now tell the link where to go? Previously, when we constructed everything in the view, we used the reverse function for generating that link. Now this does not work here in the template. We can't use all those Python features there, only the DTL features. But one way of generating a dynamic link here would be to again use the double curly braces. This is possible here as well. You're not limited to using the double curly braces between opening and closing HTML tags only. You can really use it anywhere in your document, including here in the value of a HTML attribute. And that's why I'm starting with this approach, because I want to emphasize that you can use this interpolation syntax anywhere. Wherever you have something that should be generated dynamically, you can use this interpolation syntax. So here we could then, for example, hardcode /challenges/ and then here output month. So that is a hard-coded part of this value, of this attribute value. But then we also inject a dynamic segment here as part of this attribute value, so that the overall link location would be /challenges/ and then the month for this loop iteration. And if we save that and reload our template here, indeed that would work. Now we have working links. But we face the same problem as mentioned earlier in the course when you hardcode links or paths like this. Whenever the URL changes, whenever we decide that we want to have challenge instead of challenges or anything like that, we need to change our paths everywhere in the application, including our templates. So it would be better if we could dynamically generate the path here. But as I mentioned, the reverse function is not available, also not inside of that double curly brace syntax. That won't work. But instead, there is another tag we can use. One which we of course also find in that official reference. There we will find that URL tag. And the URL tag is basically the equivalent to the reverse function, just inside of your templates. You use it as all tags with single curly braces and then percentage signs. And then here it's the URL tag. So you add URL here. Then you add the name of the URL to which you want to construct the path. So in my case, that is month-challenge. That's the name of this URL. So month-challenge it is. And we reference this here, though that should be between quotes. So we want to have quotes here. We can, of course, also use double quotes. And then we can add any arguments that might need to be appended. Unlike with reverse, we don't add a list here. We just add those arguments separated by whitespace. And we can see that here as well. We can also add keyword arguments to identify the arguments by the name we reserve for them in our URL setup. So here in this case, I have the month argument in this URL, and therefore we can either just add the value for that or identify that by name, which can especially be helpful if we have multiple dynamic segments. But here we only have one dynamic segment. So here we can now pass in month as a value. So this month variable here, which we get in this loop, the value of that is now set as a first argument, a first dynamic segment value for the URL identified by this name. And if we had more dynamic segments, we would simply add those extra arguments here. Alternatively, as I mentioned, you can identify them by their name. So here we could have month equals month because we have month as a name here. So that is the part in front of the equal sign. And then the value also happens to be stored in a variable named month, which is why we have that. But that's a bit overkill here. We only have one dynamic segment, so we can just set that value, and therefore this will now be plugged in as a concrete value for this dynamic segment for this loop iteration. Again, that's really just what you see here in the official docs as well. And with that, if you save that template and you now reload this list of challenges, the links still work, but now they're generated in a better way using that URL tag. Now, unlike the for tag, this URL tag needs no closing tag. We needed end for the for loop. That's not the case here. And I guess that makes sense. Where the for loop was used to really repeat a chunk of HTML code and recreate that code all the time, the URL tag is really just used to create one specific URL and nothing else. So it doesn't really need a starting and an ending place because it does just that one single task. And with that, we can now also generate URLs dynamically in templates, which of course is another key feature.